Okay, Ray, good morning. Welcome to the Devico Breakfast Bar. Great to have you here today. Perhaps before we start, could you just kind of tell us who you are and what your current role is?
Oh, my name is Ray Alde. I'm the CTO of Arklign, we're a company out in the dental industry that's fabricating prosthetics and just trying to change an old industry into, some new ways or innovative ways of working together.
Interesting. Well, listen, what we'd like to do perhaps is just find out a little bit about you and how you got to where you are today. Just talk to us a little about your journey that took you to your current role.
Yeah, I mean, just like most people maybe in the technical industry, I studied electrical engineering throughout college, thinking it means to build a house, but realized as I got into college, like, oh, there's more to it than just electrician, right? But luckily, as I went through the process, I had an opportunity to work in the aerospace or the space industry as power electronics engineer. So somewhat I still stuck in power, but was able to work on satellites and power electronics. Then I had opportunity to go to consumer industry, and that's when I became an engineering program manager for Apple in their touch display. And this was back then when the iPhone first launched, out there. So that was a very unique and great experience of really learning how to develop new technology at scale. Then after that, I had an opportunity to join Tesla pre, Model S launch. So that was a great, really from nothing to something experience of building, new technology that doesn't exist, and then being able to produce it out in production. And then after that, after realizing like, man, I've been got great experience in the past and pushing it for all these, successful companies. A church brother of mine decided or was asked me for help, just to help in the industry. And back then, the dental industry was transitioning into leveraging a lot of technologies that, in a way, I've used at the other companies, like 3D printing, intraoral digital workflows, all this stuff. And in the dental industry, that's very new back then. So he said, "Hey, can you help me out?" And what started with just a friend helping a friend out turned into, "Hey, I see a vision, I see a lot of potential, and let's go spin off this, company that will help attack some of the problems that are in the industry."
Wow, really interesting journey, very diverse. Thank you. When you think about your role and the things you've been doing, what would you say you're truly passionate about?
I think it's really, what I found out from working from company to company, it was really working on a problem or a complex problem that doesn't have a solution, and it's working with like very smart people around that will help us come together. It's not something I can just Google or say, oh, there's an answer to that solution. We really have to kind of go step by step and go through that process of figuring things out as we hit each problem.
Okay. And I'm very interested with your background and the things you've done, but tell us probably what you feel is your most important accomplishment as a technical leader in your space.
I think it really is where my current role is right now. Well, like I said, I was in the dental industry. And if you notice, my background was a lot in hardware, but this was an opportunity where when we saw the need, we realized that we needed to develop a software platform that can help monitor and keep the relationship between our dental lab and the dentists who are our customers and solve a lot of these pain points. And how do we make it more fluid, more streamlined? And so, not knowing anything about software development, I decided to let's just give it a try. There was a need and there's that problem there. And so, being able to launch this platform and it being successful as it is today, I don't think I can top that.
And would you be able to summarize for us what challenges you faced, you really think you faced, and how you may have overcome those key challenges, right?
Yeah, I think, what you take for granted is that you think everybody loves technology or that oh yeah, of course people will use software. But when I got into the dental industry, I realized that in the, I guess dental world of what I heard also in the medical world, using technology is not easily adopted. And this was back in 2015. It wasn't something they liked. They actually feared it. So if you said, "Hey, I'm going to put this software in front of you," you could tell it all the great features, but they'll immediately say, "No, I don't want to use it," without even trying, right? But then it's funny when they say that, but then all of a sudden, after you're done talking to them, they'll pull out their phone and then they'll go on their phone and they'll either go on social media or they'll check their email or something with their phone. And so back then we realized like, wow, well, they say they don't, they don't want to touch technology, but then they're also using it every day. So then we start to understand and go, well, how could we develop a software platform that will look familiar, like, and the experience and the feel of a mobile app, but on their desktop? And so back then, that was a unique challenge that we had to have on top of all the other feature sets like normal that will solve a lot of these pain points that are between us and our customer.
Thanks, Ray. You face some significant challenges and you do have a really wide variety of experiences in a vastly changing, quick moving landscape, I think, in our space. How do you keep up to date with the latest changes within the technology?
Yeah, I mean, I've subscribed to, numerous email newsletters that come out. One of them, and it ranges from actually looking a lot on venture capital news, because a lot of times they're the ones that are almost investing in the forefront of what's coming up. So yes, you can, yes, I do, all the other tech newsletters that are out there that just specifically talks about technology that exists. But if you want to know what's to come, you actually should pay attention to the venture capital news. And I think that's where I got. And one of the key ones, I think, is called Launch. I can't recall who does that, but they consistently show me what new companies are coming around.
Interesting, thank you. And I'm thinking in terms of efficiency in teams and the importance of that. What tools do you usually use as a technical leader to drive that efficiency in your teams?
Yeah, I'm big about program management. So a lot of key program management tools. Currently, our company is built around the Microsoft Power Platform. So we use, Planner for our company, and then specifically with the tech developers, we use Jira.
And obviously, lots of new technologies always being introduced to help us in the space. Do you find yourself drawn to new technologies or find yourself leaning towards some of the more time tested solutions?
I think one of the fun part about being a small company and starting off in some way have some ignorance, in the space. I don't have a lot of resources. So I'm always looking for new technology that has the features or the capabilities as some of these time test proven technologies, but of course at a lower cost and at more value. So everything I'm picking actually as I utilize at my company, I'm always measuring it to that. So a lot of
Okay.
times I don't use the proven bigger technologies. I'm always using, in some ways, the newer ones because they're attacking almost similar problems, but in a different way. So that's what's
Okay. Yeah.
fun.
And I guess in terms of your own business, then within that context, are there any areas where you feel the company could do better through the use of technology?
Yeah, I think what's huge now is automation, right? And really leveraging AI in an applicable way. And so that's where I'm looking closely a lot on is because we don't have a lot of resources and we're always trying to do more with less. I'm consistently looking at ways of how do we automate the mundane tasks or in some ways even the complicated tasks and watching closely how AI like ChatGPT or other ones that are launched out, how are those being applied? I'm looking into also applying that as well in our company.
Thank you. I'm going to kind of move into the space of people skills and getting hold of those skills. How difficult are you finding it to get a good specialist these days?
I think it's very challenging. I think with COVID and everything, people started to maybe think differently. Before, I'm always used to, like I said, I worked at Apple and Tesla. So I'm very used to working around people who are passionate and work hard. And their specialist didn't exist. But then you have to put your time and effort to become that specialist. What I'm meeting now or seeing is that the generation or people out there, nobody, I wouldn't say nobody. I say it's very difficult to find people that want to put that extra effort or in some ways want to be specialist. People just like, hey, I want my foot in there or I want to know about this thing. But what my definition of specialist is you can make anything happen. Like you can create something out of nothing that doesn't exist. Especially what we're doing in our industry, we have to build something that it doesn't exist. So specialist allows you to kind of attack the problem and solve it, that way. And so I find it difficult. to
And
find.
is there a particular skill set specialist that you're kind of leaning towards at the moment with your project?
Yeah, good question. I think currently I am looking for somebody who knows how to develop machine learning models or AI models. I think that's a big one that I'm looking around, but also not just code, but also combination of understanding the business case around that. So there's a niche that I'm trying to look for.
And thinking about those developers out there that want to get into these types of opportunities, what would you advise them based on your experience of the type of development that they should focus on to expand their skills?
Well, I think of course, you can always learn the latest code technology that's out there and you can follow the trends and that will keep you updated on that side. But honestly, all developers can do that. So what can differentiate yourself, right, over the others? I think one of the key things as I was working with developers is if you can understand a little more of the UX UI design process, because especially if you are working with customers that maybe aren't as technical or don't have a very clean process in giving you requirements, they kind of lean on developers to play that role a little bit. And they may give you requirements or things that they want done, but you can't take it for face value and go, oh, okay, that's what you need. Let me go make it. You kind of have to process what this person actually wants at the end, because you could be wasting a lot of your time. And I was guilty of that early on, where I say, hey, I want to do this or this and all this stuff. And without, develop that goes, hold on, from a user experience standpoint, that, and will challenge you to go, wait, did you really mean this? Or, hey, we have some suggestions. That back and forth from a developer is huge. And I think that's ultimately what will make a software platform out there from others that just listen to, okay, requirements. Okay, let me just build that feature, without having that bigger picture of it all.
Thanks, right. And I was hearing from you when we talked about the skills that developers might want to develop was very much some of that behavioral stuff, that challenging and pushing back and taking it from a UX perspective and UI. What other interpersonal skills do you think is important for people to develop in addition to their technical focus as developer?
Well, definitely communication's huge, you know, um, and especially if you have a remote development team, it's a lot of your communication is going to be with your program management tool that you use. And of course, maybe your daily stand ups or your meetings. But you're not sitting there side by side all the time where you're always around. So definitely communication and not just, oh, I speak well and I can use words and you understand. But again, I think it falls along to me similar to that UIs where you're processing what the customer is asking or the person asking you to develop. You are not just listening, you're not just taking it face value, but you're actually moving to level 2, level 3 of what that really means. So when you are communicating back to that customer or that person that's asking you to develop, you're on point and you're on that same page. And if without that, there's going to be a lot of frustrations. Hey, I thought I said this to you, but then you didn't. And then you're like, no, I followed your exact words. But a lot of times they say, but that's not what I meant. And then you're at a point where you're like, oh, this won't work. And then frustration happens.
I'd like to move the conversation towards the use of outsourcing and how that's helped you in some of your projects. You have mentioned before around what your current role is about, but I thought just to position, if you could remind us exactly what's going on within your project right now, and then we can lead into how outsourcing within that context has helped.
Yeah. So, like I said, my biggest accomplishment was launching the Arklign platform, and outsourcing was huge in that because we didn't have any software developers in house. And like I said before, I didn't know anything about software development. So I had to get the expertise outside of my current company. And I thought about hiring, oh, if I hired on, what would it take? But to be honest, I didn't even know who to hire, what skill sets to hire. And so our platform was unique where we could not get any off the shelf software tools like an ERP and then adapt it because we were trying to develop a workflow and an experience to the customer that's unique and solves the problem. And so I needed a strong technical team that understands how to build software, good software, high performance. And like I said, this industry, people want to use what's in the mobile app. And why do people like mobile app? Why? Because it's fast, it's easy, It's simple. You don't see spin. And back then, we are like, every software in the dental industry had spinning wheels. So everyone would get frustrated, go, okay, I click and I gotta wait. So I was sitting there going, no, 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 I need a development like my phone. Who can do that? And I didn't know anybody that can. So luckily, I had a friend that referred me to a company, Devico, and said, "Hey, here's some software developers that may be able to handle and they have experience, building mobile apps, um, and they understand they can leverage some technologies that maybe help you." And so that's when I reached out and was able to work with Devico on our software platform.
And if you were to reflect and to say to anybody, these might be the three key benefits of outsourcing, if it was three, what would you say they are from your experience?
Well, I think definitely access to talent. Like most recently, we realized that our volume of users increased rapidly. And we realized that, oh, the architecture that we currently have can't handle this volume. Or future volume that we predict coming. We need to almost restructure and find a DevOps person. And again, yeah, I can sit there and I can hire and I can look, but we had to move quick because our site was actually failing. And we made adjustments to have it handle, but it's not a sustainable solution. So we had to move quickly, right? So it was great because almost immediately after asking Devico to say, hey, do you guys have a DevOps person? I think they were able to hire and spin around a person just within a month, if not a few weeks. And they found a really good guy that I don't think I know a guy like that, around me. So I think definitely access to the talent is huge. I think the other one is a predictable budget. Like I said, we have to do a lot with small resources and we're a small company. And almost every time, and software development is not a key feature of our company. We sell prosthetics and we sell experience. Although the software development the thing is a huge part of our success, it's a cost, right? And so constantly I have to deal with budgets and estimates of like how much is it going to cost as we go. So that predictable budgeting and scalability is huge. And then third, I think if you can find one with a good program management, and I have, my team has a good, strong program manager that allows me to not have to stress about the details and I can relay what I want and what's needed through that key person. That makes my job a lot easier. I'm not sitting there having to manage a team of 6 or 7 developers. I could just work with one key point of contact, and then that person's responsible for managing that team and making sure we're meeting goals and schedule.
Okay, thanks. I think we're all experienced enough to know that with every business solution, there are pros and cons, right? From the concept of outsourcing, what would you say are some of the drawbacks, but how do we manage those?
Well, I definitely, like I said, my point of contact may be that one program manager, but I think one of the drawbacks is not having, because they're just not around, inside your company. Definitely the personal relationships and knowing, me personally and the team and the company around, I feel like is a drawback or could be, is hesitant because you also wonder, because they're not part of the company, how much do they care about what they're building and what they're doing? You wonder that. And so I'm always actually my program manager, like, hey, how's the guys feeling? Because I don't know. I can't, have coffee talk or I can't talk to them. But I haven't felt that they didn't care. It's just, oh, do they? You don't know. But as you converse, and one of the things I offset that is I flew out there to meet the development team and met them personally and able to talk as a meet. So I think it would cause, if I want that, to have more maybe personal visits, and travel to be there. I plan to go travel again, hopefully soon, just to kind of build that relationship back again. I think that's one of the key things. I think the also other challenge that I'm watching very closely is U.S. right now gives a lot of R&D tax incentives to companies when you start reaching a certain scale. So as as the cost of outsourcing may rise, there's something that you have to balance of, oh, okay, so that as an outsource, because when you outsource, you don't get that tax credit. But if you hire within your company, they give you that. So right now I'm facing that challenge of, hey, what's your cost? And hey, if that was in-house, is that more or less when we get R&D tax credit? from that. And I never, that's actually happened most recently. I never really knew that until, of course, as your company grows and scales, a lot of those things come about. So I think that's the challenge I think people are going to have to offset and see.
Thanks. And choosing a partner to outsource with, it's a very competitive landscape. There are a number of people doing that. I wonder, when you decided to choose Devico, had you looked at other organizations, and was there a differentiator for you as why you chose the Devico partnership?
Yeah, I did actually. I looked at two other firms and I went to scale. I said, okay, let me give me the big name firm. And actually, that was the relationship of a friend. And I said, okay, let me talk to them. And then I also went to, okay, let me find the cheapest solution and let me see what they offer. And I think one of the things that caught me to go with Devico was the value. I think at the end of the day, I don't know if you necessarily have to go to the most expensive person where you just feel like the team or the way they work or what they need is almost cumbersome, where it's like, do you really need that much? And you start to realize as you talk to them, they want to throw in all these things that you don't realize that, wait, does my company at this scale need? And then you have the cheaper solution where, yeah, you just got a bunch of developers. And then you wonder if they have those skills that you mentioned, those soft skills. Like, hey, are they going to be able to process? Do they think more than just, oh, I'm going to code? But why I went with Devico was meeting the team, meeting the technical lead and the program manager. I think when you meet both of them, at any firm, I think you got to meet the direct team that will work with you. I saw that they had it all. They had the level of program management and organization, that you need to be successful. But what I liked the most is when I was talking about my platform, with my little knowledge, I was researching and said, hey, we should do this, or we should have all these things. And for redundancy and security, and I was throwing all this stuff. The program manager stopped me and the technical guy goes, hey, you don't need all of that yet because that's going to cost you a lot. Let's start smaller and we will build up to that. And I felt that, oh, okay, they can take my lack of knowledge of software development and I can trust that they will be able to produce something of value, where they're not just out there just to make money and hours, to get from the project, but they really wanted our company to be successful. And honestly, I think without that mindset, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I'm definitely grateful that I went with Devico.
Ray, thanks for that. I mean, you seem to have had some really good experiences. There will be people, other CTOs, who may not yet have considered outsourcing or may be on the verge of considering that. What advice would you give to anybody that's about to step into considering an outsourcing partnership?
Yeah, I think again, your experience of your outsourcing is going to directly reflect on the people that you're outsourcing to or your team that you're working directly with. So that's very hard to kind of do, without a proof of concept. So that's what we did. I said, I don't know. Are these the right people? Well, I like the people. Hey, they say the right things. But let's go do a proof of concept and let's see how we work together with that proof of concept. And I think that's what won me over because I got to really see their technical ability. I really got to see how quickly they operate and how organized they run. And if their culture and our company culture matches, I think that's key. And that's what was huge.
Listen, Ray, it's been fascinating talking to you, and thanks for such full answers. I'd like to say thank you very much for coming on the Breakfast Bar and talking to us. And that'll be a wrap.
All right. Thank you.